This video explains how to build the RGB MegaBall. Now, the RGB MegaBall is either available as a cap only, the cap plus the mounting post, or you can purchase the cap, the mounting post, the LEDs, the DMX controller, the screws, cable, and splice point as a kit. Now, we're going to show you how to assemble the kit, and what we're going to do is start with the DMX controller. Now, our DMX controller is just a standard 3-channel DMX controller. Works with LOR, Lightshow Pro, Vixen, almost every application. Now, what we want to do is this comes mounted in a box, and what we want to do is we want to remove it from the box, and we're going to be mounting it directly in here. Now, we are going to need some tools to do all of this. We have a soldering iron station. This can be fancy, it can be simple. We have a hot glue gun, doesn't have to be this fancy. We have a screwdriver, in this case I just have a drill driver, and a regular screwdriver for drilling a vent hole in the bottom of the globe. Now, this globe is not included with the kit, and it will be purchased from Superior Lighting. Be aware that they have minimum order requirements. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. First, we need to extract our controller. So if we just pull back the label here, we'll be able to unscrew 2 screws in the corners here, just right under the label there, using a small Phillips screwdriver. All right, that allows us to see our controller, and there it is. Now, we are going to unsolder all the items off of that controller. So we're going to go ahead and just toss that. All right, now, let's go ahead and clear this aside. And the first thing we're going to do, just go in here, unsolder. If you're not sure, you may want to make a note of these before you start. They are marked on the board: red, green, blue, and right here we have white, which is a common. And then that is the wire that the LEDs hook up to. So what we're going to do is go ahead and take our LEDs. We're just going to take the ends here, trim off the insulation, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit that with just a little bit of solder here. This is called tinning them, and that just keeps all the wires together. Okay, now I cut them a little long, so I'm just going to trim them off a little bit. Alright, so now I've put solder onto the ends of these LED modules. The yellow is the common positive, or the anode, and these are the cathodes. Red, green, blue, obviously those match up to the colors of the wire. So we're just simply going to match the red wire here, right up to the red wire on the controller, and the green wire, and the blue wire. Now, I'm also going to take off this cable, this 2-wire cable with red and black is the power input, and we'll be hooking the Cat5 cable up to there. I'm going to unsolder it from here, and then there is a negative over here, cathode, and we'll just heat that up, take that off, throw that away. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this positive here and just wire it right here where the other wire came off. Alright, so now we've already done half the wiring almost. So the next thing we need to do is hook up the Cat5 cable. Now, you only need half of a Cat5 cable because we're going to be plugging this plug, which is the output here. We're going to be putting it into a Cat5 connection. The signal and the power is going to come in from another RGB MegaBall in here, then come back out into the next one. Now, that means that you want to decide how long. Now, I have a 10-foot cord here, and if I wanted a roughly 5-foot tall, I would just take this cord and cut it in half. I'm just going to divide it, cut it, and now I have 2 5-foot cables. Now, if you purchase our kit, it will include a cable. Alright, I'm just simply going to take my dikes here. I'm just going to strip back a little bit of wire so that I can see the individual wires in here. Alright, that looks good. Now, the first thing I want to do fish this through the top of the globe. Now, just to show you here, here's the globe, and these will be hanging. So this will be the cord that it hangs from, but it'll also be the power and the signal. All right, so we're going to put that through there. Now, you could, of course, put that through afterwards because the Cat5 connection does fit through that half-inch piece of pipe. Now, we have 4 pairs of wires here. 3 pairs are power, and 1 pair is the data signal. Now, the data signal is going to be, if you're running standard DMX, is going to be the orange pair. That's the orange solid and the white orange stripe. Now what I'm going to do is just strip off the ends here, and I'm going to separate here away because we're going to be soldering the orange pair to a different one. I'm just going to take the other remaining pairs, which is the green pair, the blue pair, and the brown pair, and I'm just going to separate them. Now this is real simple. Our wiring strategy is easy, easy, easy. All you have to do, take the solid colors here. This is green, solid blue, and solid brown. Twist them together. So what we're basically doing is making a single cable out of each one of those cables. And you can see now I have one solid cable here that is now twisted together, and then another with the whites with brown stripe, green stripe, and blue stripe. All right, again, leaving the orange pair separate. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go ahead and tin these so that these are all together. All right. Now, these are our power wires, and I'm also going to tin my signal cable here. All right. Now, what we need to do now is go ahead and wire the power onto the DMX controller. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up the negative. The negative is the solid colored wires, hence black, kind of negative. And that's going to go next to the oscillator, which is that little silver can there. Just hit a little bit of solder. And then we're going to go over here, solder the positive power input over here. This is the anode. And there we're done with the power. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and hook up the signal connections. Now, the signal connection is the one with the 3 wires. And we're just going to go ahead and unhook each one of these wires. Now, you want to make sure that you note which wire comes from which connection. Now, what you want to do is go ahead unsolder these. So the blue was on the far outside. The blue is on the far outside, and we're going to hook up the orange solid where the blue was. So we're just going to go ahead, take that. I'm going to just clip this off a little bit just to make them a little bit easier to hook up. And I am going to solder that on there. It's a little bit tight, but we can make it work here. Okay, now on the circuit board itself, the orange, here you'll see that there's actually a DMX in, and there is a DMX plus and minus, and the orange is going to go to the minus on the far outside. The orange white with the orange stripe will go next to it. Now the black is a ground, and in almost all cases for what we do in the lighting community, the holiday lighting community, we don't hook up that connection. Okay? Alright, so now we've completed our connection. We've got our red, green, blue. Yellow is the common, and they've got the power going to that, the negative. And we've got our signal, making sure that they're not shorted out. Now, one thing you may be wondering is what about input-output? Well, we actually split the signal as it comes down this cable, and we're splitting the signal when it comes in here and going out. You do not have to make the signal or split the signal directly at the controller. There is a place to hook up the actual outputs for that, but that's not necessary. Okay, so now we have essentially completed all the mechanics. Now what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be mounting this controller into this little slot, put with some hot glue on there, and then we're going to be mounting these LED modules around the outside. Now, let's go ahead and take our hot glue gun here, And we're going to put some glue on there. First I'm going to put some glue into the slot. Don't be afraid to use plenty of glue. Simply just slide the controller in there. Let it set so that it sets up. And once we have that, it's almost there. We're just going to push the cable back. Oops. Like that. Just going to push the cable back up here a little bit. Now, as a strain relief, what we're going to do here, we are going to put in a zip tie. Now, if you're wondering how the water doesn't keep going down here, we're going to show you how we solve that problem. I'm just sliding that around. That provides a strain relief for the cable. You can see it's plenty strong. Your cable is not going to pull out. Cat 5 is plenty strong for that process. All right, so what we're going to do, we've got 3 modules. You could use 4, but we have found that 3 is sufficient for a 6-inch globe. And so what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be putting them around the outside. All right? Now, what I'm going to do is just clean these up by first nipping off these extra wires here. Okay? So once you've planned out where you're going to be putting them, like this, just go ahead and put on some hot glue. Now, these do also come with stickies. You probably want to go ahead and take that sticky off. The hot glue is going to work much better for adhering it to this non-flat surface. Okay, we're just going to put it up here. So it's roughly about the top of the globe. And I'm going to put the next one on here. Pull the double-sided tape plastic off. Again, feel free to be liberal with the glue there. Okay, and finally, the last one here. Now, if you get glue on you, put it in your mouth. That'll cool it off. Now, you can see here, I'm just going to take this extra wire here, tuck it down in there so that it doesn't touch the bottom of the thing. I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue in there to keep it from moving around. And then I'm also going to come back just to make sure everything is nice and adhered. I'm just going to put a little bit extra glue along the sides. Okay, that's going nowhere. Okay, so now we effectively have completed the main portion. Now here what we can do, you've obviously got wire. The water wants to come down the center of this. You can either use silicone caulk and just fill the whole thing with silicone caulk, or what you can do, of course, use good old-fashioned hot glue. You know, if you've already got your hot glue out, you may find it easier to just go ahead and use your hot glue. All right, so give that a moment to set up. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and apply the globe. Now, the globe is set up so that it slides into, and you will see at the bottom of this, there are 3 little notches. Those are just indicator marks to show you where to put your screws so that they're evenly spaced. So what we'll do is we'll just slide, you may want to let that dry, slide this over, push that down in there. You'll see it comes to a nice rest on the bottom. And if you want, you might also take a marker. You may find it easier to actually take a marker and mark those outsides so that you can see them like this. All right, and then just take your, if you have the kit, the included self-tapping screws. What these will do is they'll drill a hole into and through. Now, if you're doing this without a drill driver, you're doing it with a regular screwdriver, you may want to go ahead and drill a pilot hole. Just drill in. We're just about an 1/8 inch off the corner. There we go. And now don't over tighten it. If you over tighten it, you could crack the globe. All right, and you just simply go around to the next one here. Again, about 1/8 of an inch off the edge. Okay, again, don't over tighten. Not necessary to really tug those down. The third one in here, and it's just using the self-tapping portion. All right, there we go. All right, now we are done. All you have to do is simply hang this from your Mega Tree, eaves, wherever you want. Then all you have to do, plug each one of these into the bottom of the three-way connector, and then run your other Cat 5 cable in and out and use a power injector. Now, see our other videos for how to set up a power injector. And also, if you're using these in an exposed area where you're going to have water, see our information on corrosion control. We have spray that will prevent these from being corroded as a result of water getting in them and possibly even shorting them out. So we have a method to solve that issue. So there you go. It's completed. Hopefully you won't have as much junk there. And your MegaBall is complete.